Hello and welcome to A Tale of 10 Cities. This is the program that brings you the interesting people, places, events, and organizations here in our CTD 15 community. I'm your host, Jackie Krebsbach.
And I'm Dale Irving. Each of our 10 cities has fascinating tales to tell, and once again, we found interesting people in our area that we'd like you to meet today.
On today's show, we'll stop in at a Shoreview store that's only open 4 days a month.
Then we'll find out what makes Central Park in Roseville such a special place.
Next, we'll meet a man who is out to change music education one guitar at a time.
And finally, we'll tell you about a Roseville place that helps over 100 households in need every week.
Well, whether you're planning to sell your home and move to a cabin, condo, or even a houseboat, you may be facing the overwhelming task of dismantling that household. Where to start, what to save, how to dispose of it. As a realtor, Jodi, Laliberte meets people anxious to downsize and who are looking for an effective way to do that. She joins us now to share her solutions. Welcome, Jodi, to A Tale of 10 Cities.
Hi, Jackie. Thanks for having me.
Well, how would you describe what you do?
Well, as you mentioned, I'm in real estate, and I specialize in working with seniors. So once I enter their home, I become part of their solution. And I noticed that there was a common theme among a lot of people that were trying to downsize, and they're often overwhelmed. And it's a big job, and so I felt kind of helpless, like I could come in and prepare and list their home, stage their home, but what to do with everything?
With all the stuff.
Possessions and years of accumulated memories, and just a lot of things,
So
collectibles.
you had to be sensitive to them also as you're going through there.
Absolutely, because it is a process to begin divesting of those things, and it's a necessary one, but sometimes we have to take baby steps and say, let's start with what you really need.
So we have a couple of pictures we're going to look at, and these are from a home that you helped. Okay, let's take a look and see what you have. So this is when you went and you saw that?
Yep, and with this particular client, she had some health issues. So for several months, she was quite ill and then was moved to a nursing home. So when we came in, we saw, the first picture was the situation that we walked into.
Okay, and there's another one. Is this that one? Okay,
Yep, and that's
it's
the
finishing.
after.
Okay, and then this, what is this? This is the same house?
Yep, and actually this was a 2-bedroom apartment.
Oh.
But as you can tell, there was an accumulation of things. But as it turns out, underneath all of this, we did unearth a lot of treasures.
Okay.
So this particular woman had some wonderful collectibles. She had dolls and jewelry and a lot of beautiful things. So we were able to give back to her estate through the selling process.
So, but you are running an estate sale, but not an estate sale. Is that correct? How do you do this?
Correct, and that's a very good question, because a typical or traditional estate sale that you might think of is conducted right on site at typically a home. Some of the drawbacks that I saw to that were, number one, the location, if it wasn't a convenient place for people to get to or to park. Secondly, you have the weather variable. Thirdly, it is one type of merchandise typically found in the house, so it didn't have a broad appeal. And then you're really limited to a weekend, usually, just that weekend, to divest of what's in that home. So we have found a different approach that has been very well received, and that's sort toss pack.
Okay, and so how does this work?
Well, it really is a lot of fun because it challenges our organizational skills. So in a typical home, we may find on average about 70% of the merchandise is going to find another home besides our store. And what I mean by that is...
And as we're talking, they're probably going to be show us some of the pictures that you have brought into that.
Great.
So, okay.
Okay. So of the things that we are divesting of, often there's some that just are going to go to the dumpster.
Okay.
But then, and those middle goods, 50 to 60%, we will try to find good homes for with agencies that are looking for some of those products. We have a lot of nonprofits that we work with, and then we will physically bring the merchandise to them if that's what they need us to do.
And so then after you sell this, it goes back to the client that hired you, is that correct?
Correct, and that would be just the top quality of the personal property that's in the home. Again, typically about maybe 20 to 30% of what's in the home we would actually bring into the store where it's consigned and sold, and 50% goes back to the client.
And so what do you do with the leftovers that are there, things that you can't sell? And then they get donated, is that what you're saying?
They do. I mean, you'd be surprised that we don't have a lot of leftovers.
that's good.
Or sometimes what we do, which is kind of fun, is we'll repackage things.
Well, you brought a couple things in that are kind of a representation of some of the things that you find in a state. Do you want to talk about those?
Absolutely. These are just two actual, I would call them treasures, really. This is a Royal Dalton statue, porcelain, and this is a very rare brass clock from France.
So then if those are sold, then they get them back. And do you have antique appraisers that can help you accept the pricing on that?
Yep, that's a very good question because there's a lot of specialties within the antiques, of
That's
course,
true.
and it can be anything from sports memorabilia to dolls.
I assume so. Well, and I'm imagining with the downsizing and the baby boomers, this is such a need, and you're probably going to be extremely busy doing this. And you have these sales once a month, and you have a website. We'll have some information about that. And I think you're doing a great service for seniors, as I can appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right.
You know, we've gotten a couple of, several wonderful testimonials.
Wow.
So that really,
That's wonderful. I wish you lots of luck, and thank you for coming.
thank you so much.